All right, welcome everyone. This is the one, the only Blue Otter Platinum League Finals, as we are gonna be watching the top two teams from this entire season duking it out to see which one will be the champions in the end. The chat is full of people hyping up their favorite teams. I myself am Jake Kelton, joined by the one, the only smartest. How are you doing tonight, man?
Pretty good. How about yourself?
I am doing fantastic. I am excited. Best of fives always get me hyped because we have ourselves the two teams that are going to be trying and vying for the best of the best. That means they're going to be putting everything in. You can lose a bad game just because of a bad lane or something like that, but that doesn't mean that the series is over. So we get to see these two teams at their peak performance. Let's roll through the players really quick and introduce the teams for those of you that are new and you haven't seen much of the Blue Otter Platinum League. On the blue side, we've got ourselves PLATLAS, gonna have that Zion Athenian playing in the top lane, Buddha Cuss in the jungle, Weenie Hut Juggo in the mid lane, the Tupper in the AD carry role, and Nala and Pepper in the bottom lane supportive role. If you would do the favor, smartest, rolling through Tempest.
And for red team, as introduced already, we have Tempest with Great Jace in the top lane, Zohair running in the jungle, Duck Solo in the mid lane, Come On Shoot Faster, of course playing AD carry, and R21 Cardi in the support role.
Absolutely. So these two teams are going to be looking for some pretty amazing plays here. And one of the things we've noticed, as you guys can see on the screen right now, we do have the pro draft is going to be up so that both teams can kind of roll through some of these picks and bans. We get to see what it is that they are prioritizing. Both of these teams destroyed the semifinals, coming out 3-0 each in those semifinals. So feeling hot after some of those victories, but one team is going to have to lose, especially in game one. Things to note as we are getting set up for this pro draft, and we're seeing those picks and bans already come through. The Silas, the Akali, the Morgana from the side of PLATLAS was exactly that champion right there, the Aatrox. He is showing up huge. He's actually my top ban champion right now in solo queue. He's not only being played in the LCS currently, he was played earlier by C9 on stage, but he is wrecking it everywhere. So I expect him to be a very high priority pick and ban in tonight's best of 5 games, and he'll be locked in as the very first pick for PLATLAS.
Yeah, I really like the sort of targeted ban they put down with the Silas and Akali. Akali being Great Jace's most played champion, and we already know how dominant Great Jace has been in the OVL. The Aatrox is being the second most picked, so not only is it a power pick for PLATLAS, but it's also taking away a power pick from Tempest. As I respond with the Aurelio, champion who does pretty well into Aatrox. I'm surprised to see the Olaf come out this early. Olaf, we did just see Olaf played in LCS today, so it is a champion that has been coming up quite a bit. It can be very dominant early on because you can outduel just about anyone from the passive, from Olaf's passive, which obviously, as your health decreases, your attack speed increases, you can outduel just about anyone. But usually, you're sort of susceptible to gap closing junglers. I would like to see Tempest come out with like a J4 or something as they pick up the Rakan, who again is another support who's seen a ton of success in professional play right now.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, one of those things is when you're looking at the supportive role, you want someone that can engage. A lot of things we've seen from recent games that both you and I have casted last weekend especially, is the team that makes the initiation is usually the team that can come out with the lead. It takes a very high-skilled team with really good coordination to be able to collapse and abuse and take over fights, especially when they're already on the losing foot, because the other team was able to find that opportunity to attack, and Rakan can set that up so well with the quickness dashing in as well as big AoE knockups. Now, talking about knockups, you have that Alistar coming out from PLATLAS combined with that Olaf. So this is really interesting between the Super AD Aatrox in the top lane as well as a quick jungler Olaf in the jungle. They are really vying heavily into the AD at the moment. So I'm hoping to see some strong AP out of the mid lane, and maybe even they could try to do dual AP, take an AP like a Cassiopeia or something in the bottom lane. Nope, they're going to instead switch over to the Kai'Sa. So this is the question. Who do they pick in the mid lane? It's probably going to be that Lissandra. Great CC and great team pairing with the rest of the team of the Alistar, the Olaf, can follow in. That's something you got to watch when it comes to these mid laners is you have so much engaged with the Alistar diving forward, the Kai'Sa diving forward with that killer instinct, but then you need to, they're going to swap over to have the Syndra. So instead looking for the long range poke, and it gives them a bit more pick potential with those orbs that can come in and stun.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm really curious to see where they sort of send the Vladimir and Aurelia. I'm expecting Vladimir to be mid and Aurelia top, as Vladimir kind of struggles a bit into Aatrox. But talking about the mid lane picks for a second, well, more specifically the last picks, Syndra and the Vladimir, when they were having the Lissandra, we were sort of like, oh, we really like this pick. It's something that offers a ton of CC for them when the only CC they kind of have right now is Alistar, along with the Aatrox knockups, but the most reliable is only on Alistar. So we're definitely excited for the Lissandra pick. However, another thing to keep in mind is Tempest has a pretty squishy lineup, right? The tankiest members are going to be Vladimir and J4, and even J4 might have to most likely go full tank here. But Syndra should be able to just about one-shot anyone on Tempest's team. So while Lissandra would have been a good pick as well, I think I'm sort of understand the mentality of we want something super high damage, something that we can put more of a carry potential on. We could take Lissandra, but then maybe we won't have enough damage, so they have to take the Syndra instead. Now, for Tempest, the Vladimir getting picked up.
Oh,
Vladimir, that's just one of those 1v9 late game style champions. You have a Sivir, you have an Aurelia, and a Vladimir. That is so disgustingly powerful as the game continues to go on. If you're a PLATLAS here, you are looking at this roster and saying, man, we cannot let this game get past 28 minutes in. We need to play early game. We need to play Olaf, we need to play, it's Alistar, Aatrox, and we got to go for those early game sorts of plays because Vladimir and Sivir are going to be so dominant in team fights as the game continues to go on.
Yeah, exactly. So the Vladimir being a late game champion, and he's probably going to be paired up against the Syndra. One of the key factors there is that he can heal through her poke. That's the strongest point about Syndra in the mid lane, is that she's going to be able to kind of poke and harass the other mid laner down and keep, just whittle them down. Well, Vladimir says, you know what, I'm just going to heal up all that poke again, and even if I get engaged upon, say that Syndra tries to set up with an orb stun, followed up by Olaf coming in trying to land those Qs the Qs for the slows, Vladimir has a pool, an easy escape option that he can get out of that mid lane fairly safe. So it's not so much about dominating the lane as it is about surviving until that post-6, post-laning phase where you're going to start looking for those big 5v5 fights, and then you compare him up with the Jarvan, whose Cataclysm, that big AoE snare, setting up for a massive Hemoplague ultimate out of the Vladimir that should be hitting as many people as possible depending on how many Jarvan captures inside of that Cataclysm. Quick note, though, on the Syndra, the choice that I like about that is that that ultimate unleashed power is multiple attacks. It's not one individual attack. And something that we see a lot from champions like this Sivir is she can spell shield. She's going to be able to absorb a single individual hit of an enemy attack, and if timed correctly, could completely nullify a Lissandra ultimate. If you just have good timing and quick reaction, you could spell shield the Lissandra ultimate. However, in this particular case, you could toss that spell shield on, and as long as Syndra has more than one orb out, you're guaranteed to be hit by a bunch more, and it will follow you no matter where you go with flash or heals or shields or anything. You will still be taking a massive amount of damage and probably falling if Syndra has coming out of lane with a decent amount of damage. So the ability to chase people down with that ultimate and use it effectively against basically everyone besides maybe that Vladimir pool is going to be huge from the side of PLATLAS.
Yeah, absolutely. Both teams definitely have really solid compositions. Like you mentioned, they have a lot of synergy on the side of Tempest here with the J4, the Hemoplague from Vladimir, as well as the Sivir. But one thing, to keep in mind that I'm going to be sort of watching out for quite a bit from PLATLAS here is how the Tupper utilizes Kai'Sa here, right? Because that is the one champion they have on their team that does scale very, very well and is a hyper carry just like Sivir. As the game goes on, Kai'Sa is one of the few AD carries that kind of match, Sivir in the late game as far as damage goes, right? So, I mean, if the game goes long enough, Kai'Sa will delete Aurelia just about as fast as Sivir can delete Aatrox. The only difference is Sivir has a little more AoE and Kai'Sa is a little more single target damage. But I think a lot of this game is going to be dictated by either who gets a strong lead in the top lane or who gets a strong lead in the bot lane. I don't see a lot happening mid lane because, as you mentioned, Vladimir says, I need to survive until 2-3 items into the game. Syndra says, I want to try and abuse, but Vladimir has to sustain. He has different options in his kit. That is more of a, can Syndra find opportunities on Vladimir in the mid lane, or will Vladimir be able to play it smart enough, let the wave push into him and whatnot, and just take the CS hit early on and basically one-shot Syndra as the game goes on. Now, off of that, though, that should mean that Syndra has lane prio just about the entirety of early game. So I want to see Syndra and Olaf, again, looking to get a lead in either the top or bot side of the map. Personally, I would like to see them go on the bot side of the map, because with Alistar, it's a little bit easier to guarantee and engage. Right? Sivir can spell shield one ability, but Alistar says you
he's got
pick one.
1, 2, 3. I don't know. He's got plenty of options.
He's got lots of options. So, I mean, and because the headbutt lands before the pulverize, it's not as though Silver can choose to spell shield the pulverize and just get knocked back. It doesn't work that way.
And even if she is able to spell shield one of them, say she spell shields the knockback, Alistar is still right next to her. That doesn't matter. He's still going to pulverize, and then to top it all off, say that she's been able to find a way out of the headbutt and pulverize. Alistar still has the ability to land that auto attack stun afterwards once he gets the stacks up from the trample. So plenty of options for that engage. Plus you also have that Olaf, as you said, trying to gank into the bottom side, land those Qs for those slows, the undertow, making sure that he can chase that one down. The key there, though, on the side of Tempest, what you're saying about the bottom lane potentially being able to carry is, again, the engage both from the Alistar but also the Rakan. If he, especially post 6, finds the opportunity to dive in with the quickness, that taunt can lock Alistar down for a long time. Add to it the knockup from the heroic entrance, add to it the just overall annoyance of that champion running around where you're trying to say, do we focus the enemy ADC or do we focus this guy who's on top of us right now? All of that can allow, as you said, those Sivir crits to start bouncing through. I'm expecting Tempest to play a little bit slow at the beginning of the game, simply because you really want Sivir to be able to pick up at least one crit item, if not 2, before those team fights break out, whereas that Kai'Sa can really dive in even with only 1 item. Now, she has been nerfed a little bit because Rage Blade has been changed, but even then she still has some great single target damage out of that Q, and so the Acathian Rain, being able to focus on one person, can knock him down pretty quick. So I still see the side of Tempest playing a little bit defensively overall throughout the game, because they got the late scaling Vladimir, they've got the bottom lane that just wants to get some items on Sivir, they've got an Irelia who's going to absolutely decimate once she finishes off her Trinity Force, and then once the laning phase kind of ends, they will all truly come online. So I'm going to be focusing on where Jarvan goes in the jungle.
Yeah, absolutely. Although the one thing I will counter and say is that while Sivir Rakan, normally you would think that Sivir is just like Vladimir. I just want to farm. Just leave me alone. Let me farm. I don't want to look for trades or anything like that. I want to get to my items so I can just 1v9 style champion in team fights. But I mean, her lane pressure can't be underestimated. Right? With Sivir, even just her boomerang blade alone can do massive amounts of damage if she finds a single target damage on an enemy champion. When against an Alistar Kai'Sa and Rakan Sivir, I wouldn't actually say that Kai'Sa Alistar just dominate the lane from a pressure perspective. I think it could go either way depending on how the junglers sort of choose to play this out and whatnot. What I will say is that because PLATLAS has Alistar, they have a more guaranteed engage, right? It's easier to execute off of. So I think that'll sort of really, as far as PLATLAS goes, I'm looking to see, first of all, how well can Aatrox survive into Irelia, who is a champion that does very well into Aatrox, and how well does Nala perform on the Alistar here, right? Because Alistar is one of those champions with these two compositions that can make or break the team fights here. And if Alistar finds the strong engages, he could set up the play for both Syndra and Kai'Sa to just decimate the enemy team.
Absolutely. Now, as you're talking about that jungler Olaf, let's talk a little bit about him versus the Jarvan, because obviously Jarvan's engage when looking for those ganks that we said are going to be a little bit interesting to see where they focus. Jarvan's got an EQ, right? The flag and drag. Everyone's used to it. It's very easy to be able to get a knock up as long as you place those abilities correct. And then once he's post 6, it's even easier to be able to lock someone in and say, you know what? I'm forcing this fight to happen. However, Olaf, he really likes to hit that level 6. He can gank pre-6, but just doesn't have the speed, especially because Buddha is not actually taking Ghost. He's taking Flash on this champion. So he's instead probably going to be hyper farming as quick as he can, which he can do in the jungle, trying to hit that level 6, and that is his way to engage in those fights. That's his way to come speeding into the lane, chopping you down with those axes. But as we load into the game, ladies and gentlemen, this is the beginning of the finals for the Blue Otter League. Game number 1. It's happening. It's starting right now. Let us hear your hype and your chat let us know which team you are supporting as we see a little bit of engage in the top side. Buddha running around, might catch out great Jace up here. Really taking a little bit of poke from that axe coming flying in, but nothing too major there. And something to watch for in the rest of these games, actually, is this top tri-brush, because recently it has become the attention of a lot of teams' focus, trying to either pick up first blood by roaming all 5 members through the top lane, or trying to just secure it for vision based upon where the enemy team jungler roams to, because often, even at that level 2, level 3 mark, they will be crossing through that tri-brush to get a little bit of a ward down and look for the scuttle crab.
I think Vladimir did see them going to this bush. They know that they're both here. As you see rotation from J4 coming in as well here, they know this is happening.
All right, we'll see what's happening here. Also, hey, Nagasi24, I recognize you. I know you. Welcome back to the chat. As that red buff going to be spawning here in a moment. Aatrox and Olaf going to be looking to steal it away. We'll see how deep they invest this, though. The Vladimir in that mid lane. So this 2v2 going to start up with Olaf coming in, getting a little bit slow onto that rail. They're going to get a little bit more poke down the knock-up, forcing the flash. Great Jace's flash already down. And that red buff should be able to go over to PLATLAS at the beginning of the game. They're even chasing J4 a bit out of the jungle. So he's headed to his blue buff, which, take a quick note, has been warded up as well. So a great start by PLATLAS so far this game.
Yeah, that is such a crucial beginning. Because Olaf has the lead over J4, should be able to 3-buff him here. Is even staying around for the Raptors. So I mean, honestly, if you're and the problem is that he was spotted by the vision. So I think if I'm Zohair here, you want to try and look to vertical jungle and look to go into the enemy's red as soon as possible, because you know that you saw Olaf on the Raptors. You know he's going to path back to his blue buff. So I think by going for a full clear of the wolves to the blue buff to most likely Gromp after, you're sacrificing a lot of camps, because you know you already lost 2 of them. He's at 30% HP now. I really got to question sort of the pathing decision from Zohair here. He's going to be down so much CS and so much XP and so much gold that it's going to really, that was... I think if you're PLATLAS, you could not have asked for a better start to the game here.
Well, an interesting choice that he could have made is knowing that he was, going to be a little bit out-farmed on the top side of the map, could have tried to roam and maybe steal away the enemy team red buff in the bottom lane like you were talking about, or the enemy team jungle, or waited in a brush, because one of the things that happens with an Olaf is that he gets extremely low at the beginning of the game because he wants that extra attack speed. And so I've seen a couple of times where Olafs are doing what they do, clearing out the jungle, low health, and the enemy team jungler is waiting for them in a brush that they're not expecting. They get bursted down, they go down for an early first blood. Didn't happen this game, so Olaf gonna have a very, very nice start. You can see he's already a level ahead of the J4, who's headed to the top lane Krugs. As a little bit of some movement from Tempest's bottom lane, just getting a ward down, making sure that Olaf can't try to gank on the early side.
Yeah, but like this is gonna enable Olaf to open up the map here, right? He already has 2 camps. He's got 10 CS up on the J4 here. He's gonna get 8 camps. J4 is going to get 4. That is such a massive difference. It's double the camps available to him. J4, and because top lane's pushed here, there's nothing that Zohair can look for even on the top part of the map. At best, he could look towards mid, but even then, it's sort of stuck in the middle here. So Zohair's kind of out of options at this point. He's going to you're going to see him sort of dance around. He's going to pick up Scuttle, and now he's going to kind of go, what should I do?
Guess I'll go ahead and hit that recall button, or maybe make an attempt play in the mid lane. He is headed to the top side of the map, just kind of check in, see where things are at. But as you said, he's lost a lot of time. Also, Syndra's not a bad lane to try to gank for the J4, as we got a little play in the bottom side. Rakan going to find the knock-up onto the Kai'Sa. However, he's immediately shielding back right out, and that was just to disengage the Alistar going in. So, a little bit of a trade of knock-ups there. You saw the Alistar headbutt knock up the enemy team Sivir, and then Kai'Sa herself gets knocked up, so everything kind of evens out. But a quick note, Sivir mana is incredibly low. So if a big fight breaks out, that will be a huge key factor, because she won't have enough mana for that spell shield. So we'll have to keep our eyes on it as they continue to farm up. At the moment, though, the push from Sivir, pretty good. Alistar going in. There he goes. Finds the knockup once again. Rakan. Oh, the knockup is sidestepped by the Kai'Sa. The stun comes through onto the Rakan. Cardi down to about half. Void Seeker not going to be spell shielded by Come On Shoot Faster. Actually, I think it was. That's how she got so much mana back. So good timing on that. But good plays on the bottom side. Still just skirmishing. No one going in for a kill just yet.
Right. And now you're going to see both junglers sort of path back. Good use of the Olaf really sort of flexing his muscles here, asserting dominance over J4, trying to pressure wherever he can. Tried to path to the Raptors in time, but J4 played it really well. Zohair cleaning up his chickens as soon as they spawned, not letting Olaf continue to dominate his jungle. And at this point, I think now we sort of Budikas here sort of wasting a lot of time now, where he's sort of like, what do I do, sort of looking. When you're Olaf with a sort of lead, I actually would like to see him try and look for an early cheeky solo Drake, especially when it's something like an Infernal that is, sort of game exciting, as a knockup does get dodged there, nothing too crazy going on. But as we see here in the bot lane pressure, it's what I was talking about, where you would think that a Sivir would just get decimated in the laning phase, losing out in a lot of CS, possibly just trying to clear and whatnot. But you see the minion wave being pushed into PLATLAS most of this laning phase so far.
Yep, and that's what Sivir's wave clear can do. And one of the things, though, despite it being a lot of pressure from Tempest in the bottom side of the map, they're actually finding a CS lead on the Kai'Sa. So she's actually able to absorb a lot of that pressure just fine. And as we said, Zohair in a little bit of trouble, losing more lanes to gank, because he could come to that bottom lane, especially post 6. That Rakan just so good at finding an engage onto the Kai'Sa. Pair that with the J4, they might be able to look for themselves a kill in the early portion of the game. But again, the high pressure from this Sivir making that very difficult. It is an Infernal Drake start to the game, and Zohair was able to actually claim that Scuttle Crab on the bottom side of the map, so that river will be seen and viewed by Tempest for a little bit as Olaf is headed down here. He's been pinged out, so probably not going to be able to make much happen here. Hold on. Come on, shoot faster. Very low on mana again. But yeah, with that Olaf being seen, he's just going to walk away.
And I like the deep vision that Budikas is actually putting down. We saw him put a pink up towards Krugs, and then as it got spotted, moved it behind the Wolves camp. The great deep vision to allow his team to sort of keep track of where the J4 is. I like this sort of playstyle. I'm really curious to see where they sort of start to put their pressure, because neither jungler has actually been able to assert any pressure anywhere in the map yet, right? They've both sort of been playing the farm slitter game, kind of moving to a lane somewhere, get spotted, kind of move back, nothing crazy going on.
Oh, there's the Alistar going in, looking for the Sivir. There's the spell shield. We'll see if it comes in handy, though. A little bit of fight at the top side of the map. The Infernal Chain's gonna drag the Aurelia back for a moment. However, great Jace doesn't care, just gonna go on with the ultimate. That's the World Ender called by the Aatrox. It'll not keep him alive. He goes down. Xayah and Athenian falling for the first blood to the side of Tempest, as that Olaf seeing the pressure on the top side of the map, immediately coming to the Infernal Drake and starting it up. The Scuttle Crab was not there to give Tempest vision of that, so it will be a trade of top laner for bottom lane. Infernal Drake, but now the play once again onto the Sivir. Come on, shoot faster, down to about half health. Oh, the damage coming out of this Kai'Sa is huge. A couple more auto attacks might be enough for Rakan going in, finding the knockup onto the Kai'Sa, trying to disengage the fight as this fight in the river. J4 taking a flag and drag to safety as the flash from the Olaf goes straight into a wall. That's a painful loss of a spell there.
Yeah, and unfortunately, the matchup-wise, like I was mentioning before, Aurelia does just have the sheer advantage in that matchup. But I liked how Budikas, as I mentioned earlier, took advantage and immediately was able to pick up the Infernal Drake. And Infernal Drake is going to be so crucial for them, especially when they're running a high-damage champion like Syndra, where as the game goes on, you're really going to start seeing the impact of that Infernal start impacting the game. As an Ocean Drake looks like will be next.
Oh, stun comes through from Syndra. Just getting a little bit of poke onto Duck Solo in that mid lane, which we haven't checked in a while. The Vladimir is actually leading by a bit of CS, almost about 10 CS right now as the waves do crash again. Something to note, though, is that they kind of just farming versus farming, right? Both of these champions are pretty good, especially at this point in the game, being able to clear out that wave fairly quickly, which is going to limit their ability to roam. That said, they both are taking TP, so keep your eyes on those in case they decide to try to make a play on another side of the map. Obviously, uninterested in fighting either in that top side fight or the bottom side fight, and so they continue to hold those, as that's actually the ultimate called out by Syndra. Unleash power, dropping the Vladimir down just a bit, maybe trying to force that recall so that she can get a recall off herself. She is currently sitting on 1,100 gold. That's actually almost tied with Vladimir on recall gold.
You're right. He's going to choose to stick behind to try and clear a little bit of that wave out. But as we were mentioning before, when the mid laners are sort of playing this farm simulator game, unfortunately for Jugo, that does actually end up in the advantage of Duck, right? As on the Vladimir, where he is perfectly happy playing the farm simulator game. That is what he wants to do. You give Vladimir a lane where he's allowed to just farm against the main champion and not look for trades, and that is just like a dream come true. So I think we're going to start seeing the after Vladimir gets 2 items completed, we're going to start seeing the damage difference, because while Syndra does have all his Olaf's looking to come in the fight here.
He's got the double buffs in the top lane. World Under called by the Aatrox. He's immediately diving in. Great Jace actually able to dodge out on all that CC. Now dashing right through, but will it be enough? The Olaf is whacking away, losing a lot of health, but he's still going to be able to find himself first blood. The Aatrox considering jumping onto the J4, who's just coming in, but Zohair immediately pieces out, saying, I'm not interested in taking a 2v1 fight. Great gank by the Olaf. What we were looking for after being able to find so much of an advantage in the early game, he's now able to capitalize off of that. Help the Aatrox at a couple plates in the top lane as the Alistar going into the bottom side. They're going to dodge out in the Rakan engage. Back away. J4 coming to the top side, finds a little bit of a knock-up onto the Aatrox. However, Athenian should be able to get out without too much of a problem. Just a couple of turret shots as they make their way out of that top lane turret.
Yeah, and because Zohair chose to sort of fight for the turret, Boudikas and Zion were only able to pick up 1 plate off of that, which is pretty ideal given of how long it was going to take Riley to get back in the lane. If Zohair didn't rotate up to that, that would have been at least 2 more plates.
We are made by our choices.
Oh, holy moly. GG Ren, thank you so much for that tier 1 sub for 9 months. That support is absolutely insane. How are you doing? And I still, sorry, she's just a really good friend of mine from a different community, and I love dropping by and hanging out on her stream as we get 1 bit from Bliss the Jungler as well. Okay, game has taken a little bit of a calmer turn, and I gotta say, that's actually dangerous territory for PLATLAS to be in, right? When the game is calm and slow, it's allowing Tempest to scale, and that's exactly what they want to do. So they're gonna try to speed it up by having the Olaf gank once again at the top side of the map. They know that flash is down from the Irelia. She's gonna lose a little bit of health. However, the Flawless Duet stun might be enough to get herself out underneath the turret. No, the Olaf is actually gonna take up the turret and let Aatrox pick up the kill. It is 2 kills each to a jungler and top laner from the side of PLATLAS. They are punishing Irelia for being down that flash, and they're doing a very good job of it.
Yeah, and this is sort of, this is, again, I think Zohair is just really struggling to figure out what he wants to do this game. All we see him doing is sort of farming and farming and farming and farming, just trying to respond to Boudikas. J4 wants to be the one forcing Olaf to react, right? You're the one that has the engage, and again, you see him in the top lane just trying to prevent something from happening. He's going to go in here.
He's the J4 finds the kill onto the Olaf. Might be able to get the Aatrox as well. World Ender called out. He's dropping the J4 low, but the CC from the flag and drag a second time through will give a double kill over to Zohair. They is desperately needed. Now once again to play on the bottom side of the map. Sivir was low mana. However, the spell shield going to help her out for just a moment. There's a quickness call out from Rakan. They're trying to turn onto the topper. Kaisa getting down to about half health. Rakan getting a couple more auto attacks down. However, he's in a bit of dangerous territory as that Alistar could re-engage. But I love Tempest's bottom lane. They are waiting for Alistar to make the initial play, but once all of his CC abilities are on cooldown, there's not much left in the tank from these bottom laners out of PLATLAS, and so they have to back away, and that's when they're losing out in these trades.
Yeah, and I like to see that play out of Zohair there too. He went, you know what's smartest? I'm tired of you talking trash, but I'm not doing anything. Goes in and manages to find the double kill. Should get him a good lead here. And with that 2-0 lead on J4, I want to see him take control over this dragon area. I want to see him force the ocean. I want to see him look to translate that into a Rift Herald and start pulling out some macro in this game. As we see all of Tempest now positioned towards the Drake, which is exactly what I want to see. Vladimir, level 10, does have the Protobot. It looks like he's going to go for a Spellbinder next with a needlessly large rod in his kit. This is exactly where Tempest wants to be. They struggled a little bit early, but now they've managed to even out the gold as both teams are positioned for this dragon.
Ooh, Alistar going to find the knockout. The Protobot has already been used by Vladimir, trying to help him escape. He's also going to be able to pool, and Rakan gets a nice 2-man knockout, but still dropping Duck solo low. The Vladimir on the run has popped that ultimate to make sure that he can speed his way to safety. However, no one falling gives PLATLAS the control around the Drake, but the health bars from Tempest are still pretty high, so they could try to re-engage this. Keep in mind, most of the TPs are down. Actually, every single TP is down at the moment for both teams, so the fight on the bottom side of the map is going to be this 4v4 as a 4-man stun comes out from Syndra, locking them down enough for the rest of PLATLAS to find themselves the Ocean Drake. Now J4 making the play, will make sure that Alistar falls. However, the Rakan getting the knock-up onto the Kaisa. She's left all alone at the side, forced to flash over the wall with the Ignite ticking away. Zohair gonna fall as the Olaf picks up 1, and now the Vladimir pooling, slowing people down. However, his health is not that much, and Carney gonna be dropped down to underneath 100 health. The Syndra forced to flash away from the fight. The Aatrox and Irelia making their way slowly down here, but Weedy gonna find himself another kill with a great disengage on the bottom side of the map. The Irelia still rolling through. Great Jace, maybe trying to see if he can pick up something at the end of the fight, but there's an Aatrox right on his tail. Olaf stepping forward, looking for the undertow to get the slow. No, it's just gonna hit the wall. Aatrox, though, Inferno Chains might be enough to pull her back. back in. The follows duet onto 2 members. That's the ultimate from Irelia as well. But no, the damage from the low health attack speed boosted Olaf finds the kill, and PLATLAS are just continuing to find leads. 1,000 gold up at this moment.
Really well played from PLATLAS there, and they managed to pressure off that 4-man stun from Jugo, obviously being a very crucial point in that fight, doing tons of damage. You know, Jugo saying, listen, I wasn't able to do a lot of laning phase, and Vladimir's kind of annoying, plays passive, make sure I can't get any advantages. But in this team fight setting, he managed to find a kill, manages to put tons of damage on, arguably most likely the most damage in the game there. Oh, as another engage comes right away.
Oh, we'll see what happens as the Rakan trying to go in and find a couple of knockups there. The quickness not able to get Tupper in a position which they could actually find the kill, so the Kai'Sa able to walk away. But that's a fairly low cooldown out of the Rakan just for that opportunity to try to find a kill.
Yeah, absolutely. And I want to see how both teams choose to capitalize towards a rift now, as that is the next objective on the map. As Syndra looks for TP play to the bottom lane here. Just trying to defend the tower. All the turret plating is gone, so not a ton to do here. We have 3 members of Tempest ready to react.
All right, we'll see as both teams have been making all of these plays and all the collapses. There is, though, that Ocean Drake and Infernal Drake to the side of PLATLAS, so they definitely be able to find themselves a bit of success in these neutral objectives. We'll see if they can also claim the Rift Herald on the top side of the map that's usually traded over for an Ocean, as a second Infernal Drake is coming up here in just a little bit. You can see PLATLAS going ahead and rotating a lot of the members up here. Syndra split pushing on the bottom side of the map. Her TP is down, though, so she won't be able to join if a big fight breaks up here, as Tempest has brought all 5 members to the party, so this may be a 4v5 as Syndra is slowly pushing in onto that first tier turret.
Yeah, as looks like Tempest now just trying to assert some dominance here. They want to take control of this rift area. They do have a very powerful team fight. You know, we did see how much pressure Jugo put on earlier, but now that Jugo is stuck in the bot lane, this is just free for Tempest to pick up here. I don't think PLATLAS going to be able to contest this at all, as we do see they are trying to pressure, but I think at this point, if you're PLATLAS, you just push for that mid lane tower. You try and get the objective and say, listen, we don't have the numbers here. We can't go for the rift. They needed to pressure this tower faster. They're not going to be able to pick this up now. They're going to get rotated on by Tempest here.
We'll see what Tempest can do. Maybe collapse it on a 5v3. The flash forward from Irelia. Vanguard's edge onto 3 members. Getting the resets. Killer instinct from the Kai'Sa. Won't be able to get her out alive. She will fall. That was a very unfortunate move, as now the J4 throws down that Cataclysm. Zohair picking up yet another one, and after a disastrous start to the game, has been able to find so much success, dropping the Rift Herald into the mid lane. Now all 5 members of Tempest can push this in. Syndra has recall from the bottom side of the map after picking up a turret there. However, they're going to lose at least 1 turret here in the mid lane, maybe 2 with that Rift Herald charging in.
And I'm really not sure why Jugo spent so much time in the bot lane there. You know, did manage to pick up the tower, but for what, right? You lost the Rift, you lost a lot of your members of your team. You lost 2 towers mid. Your whole jungle is now opened up from that. Was it really worth it? Was it really worth it?
Shelly almost getting a 3rd charge off, but huge gold swing for Tempest. They were down from 1,000 to 2,000 gold, and now they find themselves completely even up in gold against PLATLAS. Something quickly to note is that Tempest is the #1 seed from the Blue Otter League coming into this final. So they are the team that most people are looking at as the stronger team. However, PLATLAS showed up pretty dominant in the early portion of the game. They're all off having some great roams and some great pressure onto the Irelia in the top side of the map. To note, Great J still does not have a completed Trinity Force until just now at the 19-minute mark. So we'll see if these teams have something similar in game number 2. But at the moment, in game 1, we're still fairly even and looking for a team to find themselves a quick edge. And as the game scales later, again favoring Tempest, we'll see if that Sivir and Vladimir can come online to be the big carries that they need to find success in game 1 as the Infernal Drake is spawning.
Absolutely. And I think that Tempest is actually a little bit late to the draw here. Looks like PLATLAS is choosing not to pull the trigger just yet. I think they needed to position themselves lose on the scuttle.
Oh.
Nope.
Hold on. Alistar going to be going in, making a little bit of a knockup for the moment. Rakan trying to escape. The J4 looking to go in. Has immediately been dropped down to half health. The Kaisa chasing in with the killer instinct. And now the TP coming in from the Aatrox. We'll see what he can do as the rest of the team has fallen down. They've lost themselves the Alistar, but the Aatrox to the backside takes down the J4. Now can chase in onto the Sivir. Flashing forward. Doesn't find the knockup. She's going to flash away. Come on, shoot faster. Doing what she can. Getting a couple more auto attacks down. But the Aatrox has found a little bit of CC. Not going to chase it any further. Instead, looking for the Irelia, who's down to about half health. Couple more auto attacks, but nothing more. Just a 2-4-2 at the moment around this Infernal Drake, but neither team wants to give it up just yet because they know the other team will immediately hop on it. Syndra still looking for an opportunity to pop someone over the wall. The Unleashed power already used, so the team fight slows down. Olaf going to start up the Infernal Drake once again. Vladimir here, the defending though.
Yes, the 0-0-6 Vladimir. Unable to find the kill as of yet. Has been and however been involved in 6 kills. Now that Jugo does have the Luden's Echo and looks like he is pressuring towards a... I'm not entirely sure what he's looking for with the Ruby Crystal blasting on. I'm surprised if that's where Riley is, but as the Dragon does get started up by Tempest, now being moved over to PLATLAS on aggro.
Yeah, so we see PLATLAS starting it up at the moment. Tempest wants to punish two-man stun by the Syndra. Gonna slow things down for just a moment. But there goes Vladimir looking in. Olaf is able to pick up the Infernal Drake, and now he can try to turn the pool from Vladimir, slowing things down. But it's still PLATLAS that had the tanky members, the Aatrox and the Alistar to be that front line. They're layering the CC. They're dropping members. The Kaisa will drop to the J4, who found a nice EQ combo. But Aatrox in the meantime is dueling 2 members. The chop comes down, picks up another one. It's 4 kills for the side of PLATLAS, and with their 4-1 lead in that fight, they're turning straight onto the Baron.
Yeah, and they play that fight really well. Also, one really key thing to mention there is Nala stopped Zohair from jumping into the Dragon to look for the Smite Steal 50-50 play, which guaranteed Ludicrous from landing the Smite on the Dragon, securing the second Infernal with 2 Infernals in their pocket. So it's going to be really, really hard for Tempest to look for opportunities now. This Baron will most likely go. I mean, Rakan, is it going to be the legendary Rakan? Is this the legendary Rakan?
Can he do it? He's got an opportunity. No, not going to take the Gleaming Quill, see if it would find some steal there against the Baron. So Baron successfully grabbed by PLATLAS, securing themselves at a good 4,000 gold advantage. And that's where things start to get pretty good for them, right? You look at the scaling on the Vladimir and Sivir, you say, that's pretty amazing. However, if you're down like this Vladimir 0-1-6, just with a bunch of assists, look at this Sivir. She's only got 1 crit item of that Infinity Edge completed. On the side of PLATLAS, they have an item advantage. Everyone has at least 2 items completed besides the Alistar, which, again, all he needs to do is be that frontline tank and land a whole bunch of CC, and he did his job excellently around the fight in the Infernal Drake. So the next couple of fights could very easily go in favor of PLATLAS, but a lot of teams fail when they grab Baron. They either split too wide and they try to push all lanes at the same time when they shouldn't, or they group as 5 and don't use the power of that Baron empowered minions to grab themselves some of these neutral objectives like the turrets. So we'll see if PLATLAS can pull it off with the first Baron of the game.
Yeah, I want to see them run a 1-4 here. It looks like they're sort of setting up more like a 1-3-1 with Syndra in the bot lane. I don't really see much point in having the Syndra alone. If you force Vladimir to match you, sure, I guess. But I think ideally, you know, when you have the Alistar, who's doing a really good job finding picks, and you have a Syndra who is just really far ahead, you want to more so look for picks. You want to look for a play where Alistar can just jump in and Syndra just deletes someone. Having Syndra away from your team composition, where you know you have your bot lane and jungle together, I don't know if that's exactly ideal for them here.
Well, they're going to do a 1-3-1 at the moment. 3 members in that mid lane, securing the second tier turret, so at least get a little bit of extra gold in their pocket. Aatrox pushing into that Irelia in the top lane. 4-2-3 versus the 5-4-2 Irelia. She definitely has dueling power, and now joined by the J4 Zohair. Might be looking to make a play onto Athenian. However, they are immediately backing away as the members of PLATLAS are going to roam all 4 members up here, try to defend this cannon minion that's just slowly poking down this top lane second tier turret. Vladimir and Syndra still dueling it out on the bottom side of the map. Infernal Chain is going to pull Zohair in just a little bit, but the next wave is crashing. So if there's a play to be made, Tempest needs to pull the trigger sooner than later, or they just lose the top lane second tier.
Yeah, I'm actually more so surprised to see that Tempest is willing to match them on the 1v1 there. I think they needed to just sort of look for numbers advantage, utilize the on the hunt from Sivir, and sort of look for the play there. I mean, in the bot lane, I don't think at this point, because of the lead Syndra has, Duck Solo's going to be able to find much, especially when, as Vladimir, he's more of an AoE style champion. I think that if you're Tempest here, responding to this Baron push, you want to try and group up as 5 and sacrifice the one-off lanes. While there is a TP available in Syndra, I think you sort of look for a pressure play. You look for the J4 Aurelia, hard engaged style with the Sivir and Vladimir to back it up, instead of just reacting to everything PLATLAS is doing here. I think Tempest is kind of letting PLATLAS dictate the pace of the game at this point.
Yeah, and I got to give credit to PLATLAS. We've seen a lot of teams that just make those poor plays. They say, you know what, we got the Baron buff, there's a minion wave somewhere back there, it'll show up eventually, let's dive this turret, right? And so they just jump everyone underneath their turret and see what they can, let's just have a fiesta and see what happens afterwards. But when you lose out, you lose the Baron. Even if one person dies, you're losing the Baron on that person, you're losing the ability to get that push. I would like to see a little bit more pressure from PLATLAS on this bottom side, get this second tier turret down, so that way you at least have it off the table. You know that you can rotate fully through the enemy team's jungle without having to worry about those turrets. But even then, it's kind of standing gold. A minion wave will eventually be able to collect that if they wait long enough. And PLATLAS playing this portion of the game slow and steady, doing a good job. Always keeping in mind, though, Duck Solo and Come On Shoot Faster can both still find a team fight victory because of their scaling. We'll have to see, though, if they can actually make that happen, because at the moment, PLATLAS doing a good job.
Right, as a Cloud did just spawn on the map. I think that if you are PLATLAS at this point, you really want that. You want that rotational speed. When you're in a position where you're dictating the pace of the game, Clouds are great. Clouds help you just do what you're doing even better.
Let's see.
I don't think Tempest is going to be able to contest this at all, right? They're not even positioning for it. They know they're on it, but they can't do anything about it. At this point, you see how scared Tempest is. Even though the lead was not nearly as bad as they might have thought it was, because they're playing so scared, this lead is just continuing to grow and grow and grow.
Oh, now maybe a play on the bottom side of the map. They force the flash out of Duck Solo, so the Vladimir won't have that next time. He's looking for a potential flash Hemo Plague, trying to get a bunch of damage onto the entire enemy team. But with the hard grouping of PLATLAS onto the bottom side of the map, they don't have the Baron anymore, and that's why they're just going to shove as a full team, grab themselves that second tier turret of the game, and now all they have left to do is crack the base and look for those inhibitors. We're 27 minutes into this game, and we'll see when that first inhibitor falls. Because at the moment, PLATLAS are doing a fantastic job of getting these rotations down, and now they're going to look for the second Baron that'll be up in about a minute.
And this is the difference between, when you're in playoffs or something and you have a best of one, where, it's just you play one game here and there, versus when you're a best of 5 here. Because even though we're seeing a lot of these issues, it's going to come down to, if PLATLAS is able to convert this lead, Tempest needs to come back and say, what happened this game? We had the lead, they threw the lead, we threw the lead. What was going on here? What were we so scared of? Right? And then to look at this and figure out where the issues were and sort of address that, because that's the biggest difference in a best of 5, where the first game is not necessarily descriptive of how the rest of the series can go. It's more about which team is able to maintain their mental throughout the series.
Well, that's a huge thing for the side of Tempest, right? You're talking about, us throwing, them throwing, us throwing. Look at their composition. They have a J4. He's one of the easiest champions to find a pick from. The easiest champion to get and engage. Rakan, just as good, being able to lock someone down. The Irelia, she's 3 items in. Great Face does a great amount of damage. But I want to see them actually using that. They need to actually pull the trigger on something. Otherwise, they just continue to lose. Whereas the side of PLATLAS, look at them. 4 Drakes up. They're positioning around a second Baron Drake. They already secured the first one. They are looking good. But we want to see them close the game out cleanly. Because this is where things can start to get tentative. And if you make a mistake, those mistakes can get punished. Not only in this game, but in future games as well. So come out with a statement saying, you know what? We found ourselves some successful team fights. We got every neutral objective besides the Rift Herald. Let's go ahead and close this game out cleanly and show that we can potentially make this a 3-0 series, as we're going to start up the Baron. Is down to about 4,000 health. The rest of the team from the side of Tempest coming in. We'll see if J4 can steal away. He's over the wall. Olaf grabs it with the smite. J4 going to go ahead and go gold, but the rest of his team is trying to collapse. Rakan going in. He's only going to find the knockup onto the Kai'Sa, but now he's immediately having to back away as the rest of the Kai'Sa's dealing damage. She's been touched for just a moment. No, she gets the kill onto Irelia before the Flawless duet can come down. Vladimir's on the run. Aatrox has the world ender. He's just slicing through everyone. A Cathian raid finishes off the Sivir, and raining on the parade of Tempest. You have all 5 members of PLATLAS still alive. TP's coming into the top side of the map, securing the first inhibitor of the game. This might be the game as well.
Yeah, most likely will be. We do have 14 seconds on our con here, but as members of PLATLAS now grouping up, they should be able to knock through these towers with pretty easily here with the Olaf Kai'Sa. I don't think this is the game done right here, and it was actually pretty close Baron play too. J4 came in and did smite first, leaving Baron at just about 50 HP, so it was pretty close, but pretty convincing victory here by PLATLAS.
Yeah, victory number 1 going over to PLATLAS in the finals. This is the finals. Add a check mark besides your name. You are going to feel really good about that one. And as we said, we were looking for a very successful ending to the game, a very clean ending to the game. And PLATLAS delivered, showed a great team fight around the Baron buff, and then took that with all 5 members still standing right into the enemy team base, securing themselves victory number 1. Now, let's take just a moment to look at the total teams, what their lineups and stats were, and discuss quickly what we could see coming out of these teams for game number 2, because this is a best of 5 series. So as you were just talking about, Tempest can look at the mistakes that they made and try to say, you know what, let's shore up those poor areas that we did this game, see if we can find more success in game number 2. What would you say were their biggest mistakes in this game?
I think it was sort of Zohair kind of looking lost, right? We saw at one point Zohair kind of go into the top lane managing to find a double kill, but for what, right? He stopped the push, but what did that translate to? It didn't translate to anything. It sort of felt like Tempest just played reactively to everything. It's like, okay, you know, we're gonna try, we're just gonna run at each lane, we're gonna farm, we're gonna run at each lane and see what happens, and we're gonna try and out mechanic them across the board. Whereas PLATLAS actually involved some macro into their playstyle. I didn't see much macro focus coming out of Tempest here. I want to see them sort of say, okay, this is our goal this game. This is our win condition. They need to establish, saying, okay, this is how we're going to win. If we get Aurelia ahead, we just win. Aurelia takes over the top side of the map. It opens up J4 to just focus on the bot side of the map, get Sivir ahead at that point. And there's no way an Aurelia that's ahead should lose to an Aatrox and say, okay, this is our game plan. Execute. And I didn't really see any game plan coming out of them. Now, I mean, it is definitely, you know, the mental is just so crucial in these sorts of games. That level 1 play where Olaf stole red buff from Zohair, you know, that could have been a very big factor there. Maybe that sort of threw Zohair off his game, and he just really struggled to come back from that, saying, oh, you know, I'm just so far behind. What do I do? This is not the game I was, you know, this is not how I wanted this game to start off with, and then sort of just turn into a snowball effect. I think game number 2, you know, they need to prevent that play from happening, to scout that out a little bit better. You know, level 1, PLATLAS played it so well with the vision they established. I think in game number 2, if you're Tempest, okay, first of all, we got to fix level 1, got to make sure that doesn't happen again.
Ward.
Say, either ward or, you know, just scout, right? Just have heads just scouting. 5-point position, whatever you have to do. And establish a win condition, saying, okay, this is our focus. This is what we need to do, and this is how we're going to execute, and this is how we're going to turn the series around.
And we'll see if they can pull that off. Maybe find themselves a little bit more neutral at the beginning of the game rather than giving advantages over to the side of PLATLAS. We're going to take a very quick break and be right back with game number 2. I'm hyped as heck to see where these teams can go because they're looking pretty even. We'll be right back. Hope you're hyped too.